Hello everyone, my name is Max and I'm a broke graduate student and what a great start of the video. But I've never done videos like that before, so excuse me if there is like an issue with quality or if I'm just yapping too much. But anyway, I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to share that even as a broke graduate student, there is still a chance for you and for me to build something that I would call a pretty decent watch collection. And you know, it doesn't have to be all the super fancy pieces, and it doesn't have to be all Rolexes and Omegas and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's get started. Oh, I forgot to mention that I started my watch collection journey not that long ago. That was in 2023, and it all started with me wearing an Apple Watch, and I kind of got tired of notifications and it would track my steps all the time, and I just hated that. So I decided to move away from a smartwatch to something analog. And at the time I just started watching all the videos about watches and stuff and learning about different movements. And yeah, so I think my first mechanical watch was an Orient Bambino, and since then I kind of had other pieces as well, and I typically like wear them for some time, and if I don't really bond them or if I don't really like them, I just flip them. And basically in some of these watches there is still that $279 budget of my Apple Watch that I sold. Well, I sold it for less, I think, but anyway, so let's give it a look. I think most of them are placed like in this watch box. I mean, chronologically, just apart from this one, but we'll get to that. So I'm just going to start with the first one, which is an Aragon, and I've never knew, like, I didn't know anything about this brand before I started doing some research, and then I kind of thought that it was a bit suspicious that they were, at the time, they were kind of cheap. I don't think they are cheap anymore, but I mean, this was $180, and it has a ceramic bezel. It has this very interesting mother of pearl dial, helium escape valve, 500 meters of water resistance, and a screw down crown, and the crown is pretty dope in my opinion. And you know, for fully solid bracelet, even a custom rotor, it's just insane. Well, Seiko and H35 movement. And the reason why I bought this watch is because I really wanted to have a diver, and I haven't had, like, at the time I didn't have any divers in my collection, and I didn't want to buy one of these, like, I don't know, kind of like finicky Seikos. No offense to people who like those like Seikos around 200, 300, but as I said, I started my watch collection in 2023, so there was no SKX around, only those like SKX replacements that Seiko has now, and I just didn't like them. So I'm pretty satisfied with this watch. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to, might switch. I don't know how to switch to macro, whatever. Okay, so there is a scuff on this lume triangle at 12 o'clock here, but I don't mind it. It happened later, I don't know how, maybe I just bashed it against something. I wouldn't say I bonded with this watch, but I think, I don't know, like, I tried to sell it 3 times and I just can't sell it, because maybe I had these second thoughts of like, oh, if I sell it then I have no diver in my collection. But the thing is, I don't really wear divers that often. Like, it's a great tool watch, you can wear it any time. Like, it can be your Garda, it can be something else. I don't know, but I do wear it from time to time, and I kind of like the dial and the functionality. And another thing to mention is that my wrist is 6.5 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. The thing is that I consider my wrist still pretty skinny, although 6.5 is average, but I don't know, like, it looks skinnier than the measurements. That's why I tend to gravitate towards smaller watches. This one is 40 millimeters in diameter, which is pretty rare for Aragon, if you ask me, because I think their watches are just basically dish plates, 50 millimeters, 40 something. So do take that into consideration. But it's a very decent quality, very nice brand. I think it's based in Florida, manufactured in China, obviously. But it's very nice for the money. As I said at the time, I paid $180 for this. I don't know if last time I looked at this one, this is like EVO 40. Last time I looked at them, they were around like 200 something. So maybe because of the tariffs, maybe because of something else, but it's a cool watch. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so next one is this beautiful Seiko Type 2 quartz. This one is vintage, it's from the 70s. It's 35 millimeters in diameter, so it's a pretty small watch for today's standards. However, I just adore this watch. I bought it used, obviously, on eBay, and it came with this very interesting bracelet, which is Uncle Seiko or Uncle bracelet. And I looked at the website and I haven't found these ones, like this kind of beads of rice thing. I didn't find them there, so I don't know, maybe it's like an older version or something. But anyway, I think this bracelet, despite the stamp clasp and everything, these things are solid, by the way. It really fits. It really fits this watch because of the time period. And I was just, look at this dial. Like, this is fume green, and the way it just plays in the light is fantastic. Like, sometimes it's green like this, and then like kind of acidic green, and then it just very kind of subtle, and it has a bit of texture to it. And overall, this is a very, very nice watch, and it's super well made, over-engineered, as all Seikos from that time period. And as you can see, the seconds hand is hitting all the markers perfectly, despite this watch being 50 years old. It's amazing. And now they can't, well, I mean, they can, not Seiko, but overall, like, now quartz is considered rubbish, which I don't agree with, but yeah, and it just looks very nice on my wrist. As I said, it's pretty small, and I just like the way it wears. I have to be a bit careful with it because it has a mineral crystal, and because I don't know about the water resistance, and I don't want to test it. Fun fact, when I received this watch, I thought it was not functioning because something was rattling inside, and it would like stop ticking, and then it would start ticking again. And I was like, oh, I got a broken watch, and I wanted to return it for refund, but then I decided to snap it open, which was quite an experience because, I don't know, it's very difficult to open these cases. And I realized that there was a tiny little screw detached from the, I don't know, from the movement, and it was just kind of rattling around. So it was very difficult because, I mean, I have no experience in like watch service and watch repair. It was very difficult for me to put that screw back on and screw it down. So I'm like, okay, before I had, you know, some thoughts of, oh, maybe I can service a watch or like try servicing a watch. And now I'm like, no, because even putting this tiny screw back took so much effort. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But it's a great watch. So this one is a keeper for sure. Well, never say never, but so far I don't want to sell it. That one I might sell at some point. This one I don't want to sell. Okay, let's move on. Okay, well, this is the most expensive watch in my collection. That's a Laurier Astra, and it's, I mean, it took me a lot of time to I really wanted this watch ever since I started my watch collection, but then it took me a lot of time and saving to save up for this watch, because at the time I paid $500 for this one, and that's a lot for a watch. So, and I had to sell 2 watches to fund this one, basically. One of them was Seiko SBTM, like radio, solar, titanium one, JDM. I love that watch, but it was 39 millimeters, which for me is a bit too big. Well, I consider it a bit too big. And I don't know, I really wanted this Laurier, so I'm like, okay, we need to figure out how to get it. And yeah, I can't say anything bad about this watch. It has an acrylic crystal, which is intentional, and I'm totally fine with it. I bashed it a couple of times, and then I had some scratches, and I used Polywatch. That's all great. Has a very nice big crown, screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, fantastic lume, Miyota 9000 series, 1915, I believe, right? Very nice and interesting bracelet because it feels kind of light, but I like it about this because it doesn't feel cheap. It just feels very light and silky, and obviously it's an older version, so it's no micro adjustment on this clasp, but I don't really need it because the links are very small. It's a fantastic watch for the price, and if you like this kind of aesthetics, then it might be a piece for you. I just like it a lot. I'm using my iPhone to film this, so I turned off the macro thingy because otherwise the switch between cameras, it just ruins the whole thing, and I didn't want to do that. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next one. So here we have a Botany Vintage Explorer homage. And the reason I got this watch is because I do like the Explorer, and I kind of wanted, you know, a Garda watch on this oyster style bracelet, 36 millimeters. And I like the dial as well, because the dial is this kind of faux patina, but this kind of patina is, well, I mean, tropical dial is what they call it, but I don't know, it gives me this kind of very interesting vintage vibe. However, I ran into a problem which doesn't have to do with the watch, it has to do with my needs throughout the day. Apparently, I can't wear a watch if it has no date function. And I didn't know that it's so important for me, but the thing is that I wanted this to be a Garda watch kind of thing, and it can't be a Garda because I have to wear it at weekends or during the days when I don't need the date. But I typically need the date almost all the time because, you know, you work, and as I said, I'm a grad student, so I do like teaching and stuff, and I need to know what the date is, and sometimes you go shopping and then you want to buy some milk, and I don't want to pull up my phone and look up the date on the phone. So yeah, that's why this watch might be on the chopping block, but there is nothing wrong with this watch because it's a fantastic watch for the price. It's like $200 or something. I think I got it for less because of AliExpress sales and stuff. And it's been absolutely fantastic. Like, the bracelet is great. Not a big fan of this clasp though, because when you close it, it kind of, like, I don't know if I can show you, it protrudes a little bit like this. And although it's not a big issue, but sometimes, you know, there is some kind of disbalance in it, and I don't like this gap. I would prefer it to be like this, but whatever. Can't complain. Sapphire crystal, interesting. I guess it's boxed or double domed, I don't know, but looks good. Very nice anti-reflective coating, and very nice all-rounder if you don't need a date, and I do, so I already told you about this. Okay, let's move on. I don't like a watch without a date function, he said, and here we go. Watch dives, I believe Elementum, well, it's written here, of course, Elementum, and I decided to get this watch despite it not having any date function because I wanted it to be like kind of, I don't know, like a bit of a cheeky kind of watch, you know, like a fun watch with this purple dial. And I think it fulfills that function perfectly. And surprisingly, the watch is amazingly made for the price, again, that I paid for it, like around $100. Well, you get, it's a quartz movement. I don't mind a quartz. I actually like quartz better than like some other mechanical movements, especially entry-level mechanical movements. Like I'd take high accuracy quartz over an H35 or something. This one is not high accuracy, it's the VH31, right? Anyway, again, if it had a date function, that would be fantastic. However, for this kind of like genre of a watch, I think that's fine. And it's 38 millimeters, sapphire crystal, screw down crown, very nicely made bracelet. Looks great on my wrist, I think. And overall, this is the watch that receives a lot of compliments just because of the dial. Has obviously they took their inspiration from Grand Seiko and like other things that come out with dials like this, but in this lighting that I set up, I don't think you can appreciate like the way this dial looks. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, and the lume is decent as well, so nothing bad that I can say about this watch. Very nice watch. And last but not least, a Casio A168, I believe. I might be mistaken, but I just bought this watch because it's cheap and you need to have a very nice digital Casio. I wear it to the gym because it's very light, and sometimes I just like wearing it. And as you can see, I'm a bracelet guy, right? So I put this one on a bracelet on a different one because the stock one, I didn't really like it. Although there is nothing terrible about it, I just didn't like it. So I bought this, again, beads of rice kind of bracelet from AliExpress. It's pretty decent quality. The clasp is a bit sharp, but you can manage that with a bit of sandpaper. I mean, it's a great watch. What can I say about a classic watch, right? It's small, it's very light. If you swap the bracelet for something else, the wearability is great, and it tells time, and you can do it like, well, I mean, why am I explaining this? You're probably all familiar with Casios, and the reason I got this over F91 is because it has decent light like this, so it's not that poor little pimple in the back. It's like it actually has pretty decent light. So yeah, that's it. And just to kind of wrap the whole video up, I mean, I know it's not like a super budget collection, because for some people even $200 like for Boltony or like 100 and something can be a lot for a watch. So I understand. I mean, it's a relatively I wouldn't say cheap, but relatively affordable collection. And I think, pretty much anyone can buy these watches if you save up for some time, just like me, because I mean, I'm a grad student in the US and I live, I receive some stipend and I live by it, and sometimes there is barely enough money to make a living, but still I was able to afford these pieces, so I think you can do that too. And in terms of the pieces that are on the chopping block, I'm considering selling my Aragon and Boltony, and then maybe save up a little bit and get a Citizen Fujitsu. Maybe not, but as I said, I don't wear, like, I don't know. I want to have a diver. On the other hand, I don't wear divers that much, but maybe because like Aragon on this bracelet is very heavy. Although it's a 40mm watch, it's reasonably heavy, but still has the helium escape valve. It's pretty thick and it's kind of heavy on this bracelet. When I wear it on a rubber strap, it's good, but I think it doesn't look as good because I like the way bracelets look. That's why I think maybe a Citizen Fujitsu would be a better fit. And as I said, this one, the intention was that it would be my kind of another everyday watch, but it has no date function. So yeah, the reason Laurier is my sort of everyday go-to watch, right? But I'm gonna be honest, because of the acrylic crystal, sometimes I'm like, I want to, I wouldn't say baby it, not at all, but I do want to have, a sapphire crystal for like a 100% everyday watch. And this one is like 95% everyday watch. Also, I don't know, it's just, for an everyday watch, I want it to be a little bit less, I wouldn't say this is not understated, because it is, but I guess I want it to be even more understated, sort of something like this, but with a date. So I was thinking about a Seiko Alpinist, like the baby Alpinist, but I don't like that the baby Alpinist has 6R35 movement, and I just don't want to play that lottery. Okay, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you're all doing well. And as I said, if you have your own, like if you want to build a very nice, small but affordable collection, you can do that. Anyone can do that. Okay, cheers.